Many of the integrations that you're building could cause damage if they're implemented incorrectly. So it's important that you have an easy way to test against a test environment and then propagate those changes into the production environment. Flowgear has a number of components that allow you to do that. First of all, revision management tracks all of the historical versions of workflows. Site environments allow you to target any number of different environments, and release management sits on top of those two components to allow you to control exactly when a specific revision gets deployed to a specific environment. Here's a workflow that I've had running in production for a while. You'll notice that as I open it, it shows me that it's executing against the test environment, and that's because I'm in the design console and I want to make more changes to this workflow. If I focus the connection property, this shows me the 3 different site environments that are configured against this connection. So here in the production tab, I can see the live server name, a live database, and then the live username and password. But I'm actually just testing against my test environment, which is using a drop point onto my laptop and a local test database that I want to debug against. So every connection in Flowgear allows you to partition any number of environments that you might need to be able to target during the build and release process. Back on the design, I can now use revision history to look at the historical changes to the workflow. As I step back in time, I can see what the structure of that workflow looked like at that earlier point in time. And so I've got a full recording of everything that has changed, along with the timestamp and the user who made these changes. This is very similar to committing changes to a code repository. You've also got a create a copy option, which is a little bit like taking an old version and forking from that if you wanted to start from an earlier point, as well as a save as latest function, which is a little bit like a revert from a code perspective. Now, the first time you build an integration, you can pretty much just run it against test and then just have it run in production as soon as you're ready. But from there on out, you don't want to disrupt the production version if you need to make additional changes to that workflow. So release management allows you to control exactly when the version that you're busy designing ends up in production. And this saves you having to manually copy workflows around and do any kind of manual provisioning. With release management enabled, I can continue to work on this workflow, and the changes that I'm making are only going to get pushed into the test environment until I specifically choose to promote them into higher environments. So for example, let's say I wanted to adapt this workflow so that it no longer took an ID as input, but an email address instead. That would require that I change the name of the property, and for good measure I should change the name of the SQL parameter here as well, and then modify the SQL statement. I also hard code something in just to be able to test it and verify that the workflow is all good. Now this is the latest revision of this workflow. As we can see over here, this is revision 12, and this is now running in the test environment. Once I've completed my changes, I can open the promote workflow screen, and this is showing me that I have revision 12 currently running in test, but revision 10 is currently running inside UAT and production. If I'm comfortable with the changes, I can hit the promote button to push that revision into the UAT environment, and then again, once I've finished my UAT or QA process, promote it again to push it through into production. So this is a really safe way to continue making changes to a workflow that's already been deployed into production without causing any disruption there. You can also allow other members of your team to run the promotion process so that they can promote either individual workflows or a suite of interrelated workflows at the same time.